You two come over, please.
It's Disney Vacuum
You want to do
Races.
that? Okay.
Yes.
Hi. We are doing Humoresque teaching points. We're going to play through it first of all.
You can post it online now for all the world to see.
Yeah, feel free to step out of the frame. So whether you want to shift or do a guide note, whether you want to stay in first position or do a guide note shift in 9 is up to you, but please do not do portamento both times, because it is crass.
So say that again?
So personally what I teach is bar 9, you stay in first position and you practice open E, A4, 3 for intonation. And then you do the shift with the portamento in 13 for the echo. If you want to do a shift in 9, that's up to you, but please do not teach a portamento shift because it's too much to do twice in a row.
Right.
So,
over the top.
Would you have taught by this stage the difference between a sort of standard classical shift?
So I call them guide note shifts, that's what they know up until now. Right. Jumping shift or guide note shifts. Jumping shift being from an open string. we are going to talk about shifting in detail next week.
So what I call a classical shift, you call a what? A
Guide note shift. Partly because I think it can be confusing for the children to think that it belongs to a particular era.
Yeah.
Of course it does traditionally,
I
but you
agree.
know,
I agree. And the Portamento, and the other one you call a jumping shift.
or a hopping shift from an open string. So let's go to the beginning. I do third position 2 and 2 on the last 2 notes of the second line. And Jerry, if you're using a guide note shift, what would the guide note be for that?
The E.
The finger would be the note that's on the E, yeah, but the guide note, as in where are you going to before you put your 2 down?
Oh, the C.
Wait, sorry, which bar are we talking about? Bar 9 or bar?
A. Well, these bar numbers are so confusing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun, 2 2.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
okay.
Sorry,
So G.
I was
G.
not clear. Yes, exactly right. So the guide note is the one. I don't know why I'm obsessing about this label, but now it's really annoying me.
Well, you do that in third position, do you? No.
I do. Partly because the 4s are 4 and then an open just sounds really unsophisticated.
Oh, I see. I didn't realise that. So you got
Lots of my kids are doing vibrato by now, so it's really nice for them to vibrate on those 2 notes, especially the D.
So you go up on the first finger, do you?
Yeah.
So that'd be a guide note shift.
Yeah. Right, done. OCD complete for now. Okay. So then I stay in first position, bar the rest of bar 9 and bar 10, and then I do go up in bar 11, just for that bar. 2 1 3 2 1 2 1 D. And if you want to put your portamento shift in a box, which obviously if you're going to do a portamento shift you will want it in a box, do add the 2 upbeats, because otherwise it's not clear to them when they're doing the box which shift they're practicing. So they want to know that it's the one that's approached from da da da, not da da da. Do you get my meaning?
Repeat that, please.
So you want to include the last 2 notes of 12
Yes.
in your box, so that it's clear to them which shift they're practicing, because the one in bar 9 just starts from nothing on F sharp, and this one has the 2 upbeats, and you don't want them to do the same shift on both of those.
And you'd end the box.
On the first note of 14. So the box that mine play is do 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 do.
Yeah, that should back on first.
Some of them will play do 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 do. I do the fingering as written on top in 14. So you've got another beat in third position, and then a shift. And they will need help counting bar 16.
Right, yeah.
Are you clear on the box in 23 and 24? We have talked about it a bit, but do you want any more information about that?
In bar
23 and 4.
I've got A 2 3 2 1 3 2. Shift back to first. 1.
Shift on the A.
Yeah, so if you want to shift, that's fine. I don't personally teach shifting there because I think it's really good for them to practice the string crossing and the extension and the intonation, but that's up to you.
So do you do the 4th finger the finger underneath the stave?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you are teaching the underneath fingering, you want to make sure you've got a very mobile left elbow. You want to make sure 3 and 4 are touching, and that the first finger is mobile as well, because it needs to move back for that F natural, and then high for the B. And you want to practice it. Da-dum, prepare, da-dum, prepare, da-dum, prepare, da-dum, prepare, da-da-da. For however long they need.
Or we could do it first position the first time and shift the last time it comes up.
I mean, if you really want to complicate your life, yeah, go for it.
Oh, there's ways to make evilness good.
Ready?
Yeah.
If you're going to teach the shift there, Joe, what do you need to make sure they're doing? What am I doing?
Shifting while the A is sounding in the first beat of the bar. And then matching, so it's a jump shift, isn't it? Because then you would match the two as an open A, make sure the intonation is
Good.
correct.
Yep.
And then place the 3 as a semiquaver but on another string. Not semiquaver. Semitone but on another string. So your fingers are close there.
And you jump to the 3.
Now jump to the 2. A.
What?
So the first A is an open string. The second A would be a 2, 3.
That's not what's written in my
Okay.
part. Have you got that written?
I've got it written over.
But have you got a 2 on the end? I've got a jumping shift, means it's from an open string. Oh, you've written over the top. Okay. I just wondered if there was a different, because sometimes books are slightly different. I think if you were going to teach the shift, to teach a 2 makes the string crossing quite complicated. I think you'd be better off just jumping to the 3 and then placing the 2 next door to make sure that that's a semitone, and then the one next door to make sure that's a semitone. It's quite a difficult finger pattern to get that 1, 2 and 3 all semitones apart over 2 strings, but that's not to say you can't do it. But it just needs very careful teaching whichever way you do it, doesn't it? What finger pattern are we in 25, Mimi?
I'm not sure. To be honest. We talk about colours.
Yes, I was, but which finger's best friends is the key point.
3 and 4.
Yeah, so all the way through all of that, you really need to make sure your 3s and 4s are touching, which is yellow with a hot pink 3 if you're using those colours, which I can't recommend strongly enough. I do not like the shift in 30. I personally play 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2, G, 1, 3. But that's
Sing that again, please.
2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2. And instead of shifting now, 1, 2, shift.
Yeah.
2, G, 1, 3.
That's what I do.
Because what's in the book is da 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 3, 4.
Yeah.
So you, okay, so you, are you on the 3 on the lower? 2, you.
So I'm doing 2 more notes in bar 30 in 3rd position, and then coming down on the B flat.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't shift at the end of the page. Lots of them will try, and then they'll go back up. bothered to print this easier version. I've never heard anybody play the alternative here.
What, at the top of the page?
Under bar 37, I've got an alternative. Da da dee 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 instead of dee 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 dee.
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Mm.
I mean, they've had way harder than da 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 da.
Twice.
Yeah, and it doesn't take the shift out, which is the thing that might be difficult if you
Yeah.
do the whole thing in first position. Anyway, so I would ignore that if I were you. It's a weird structure, isn't it? You would expect it to go A, B, A2, C, D, A, B, like a da capo.
Mm.
But it goes A, 2, B. And interestingly, the version that Hadelich plays doesn't. It's got the full, it's got A1 and then A2.
So for the you know the figure eight, the theme,
Yeah.
So how exactly? I just wondered how you teach that bowing and getting the articulation as it, because it's quite hard, isn't it, to
I
get
think
it
the
to
key
ring
is
and-
really tiny bows.
and
If you can get them to use small bows, then you're in business. And the thing, I don't think we've yet
so it
talked
doesn't
about
sound
is the
kind of dead.
So, because this is very similar to lots of things that they've done before, isn't it? If you think about, like even perpetual motion, if you're getting those little happy face smiles, so I personally don't teach the zigzag bowing towards the heel.
You don't teach.
I don't teach that. I teach it all in the middle. So that they have a slight zigzag to get back from the long note. But we try and finish before they're right at the tip. So that it's pretty much done. But the lift is what I prefer. But it does, obviously there are pros and cons to both, and if you're going to teach the lift, you've got to make sure you don't get that, and then that. So it's got to be in a box, either way. So I think for most kids this is a piece that they learn in two sections, and they would do the boxes in the main theme. They've got the preview box, and then the Portamento Shift is a preview box. So by the time they start the piece, they're quite good at those two already. It might go down to 5 times each rather than 10. It depends how old they are, how mature they are, how much they like or dislike doing boxes. But when they start the piece, I would put in from the last note of bar 2 to the first note of bar 5. That 5 times, at least. And they may need help with that. 10 times. So then if you've got a kid who's then doing 4 boxes in this piece, that may be fine, but if it's not, you know, pair up the boxes. Okay, so you do your first box and your third box each practice, and then the next day you do your, each on the first day, and then the next day you do your second box and your fourth box, and then you've done them all half the days by the time you get to the end of the piece. They mine don't tend to need boxes in the B section, but obviously yours may. Sometimes this. Sometimes this. Just depends, you know, what their strengths are. do much prefer 2-4-4-4 rather than 2-2, because then you get that lovely slide. Rather than, that's quite hard to do, and it doesn't have the lovely portamento.
So a 4/4.
3 4s in a row. In the end, this is the grace note. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for quite a lot of my students, this is about the point at which they start to get 2 credits per piece and put them together in review. Otherwise you can sort of start grinding to a halt, especially in the bigger pieces like Becker, Barkervox, Barbaret.
Sorry to be
Don't apologise, just ask.
but in that first box that you talk about, by bar 4 to
Yeah, 3 to 5, yeah.
Yeah, is it 3? Oh,
Yeah.
3, sorry.
Right.
So that minim, you have to save the bow,
Yeah.
counting.
Yeah.
So if we're not doing zigzagging bowing, where are we expected to be at the end of that minim in the bow? Are we in the middle, or are we sort of a bit
Well, the
higher
end is
up?
the same for both types of bowing, really. Once you've done this, you're going to save the bow either way, so that you're sort of in the middle of the upper half. The difference is whether you play that,
Yeah.
or whether you play but the end doesn't really make any difference, it's just the approach.
So that's kind of optional, is it? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, either the lift or the zigzag. What's not optional is starting the F sharp and the E in the middle of the bow, so that you run out of bow and then the recap of the tune sounds rubbish.
Okay.
Because if you do neither, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
That's the bit that's not
Because
an
that's the
option.
obvious thing that's going to happen, is it? Just use the bow.
And I mean, you don't have to teach one way. I'm a creature of habit. I do tend to have my way of teaching most things. But you can say to the student, which do you prefer? Would you like to learn zigzag bowing or do a sophisticated lift? You know, it doesn't have to be your way. So, my tick boxes are intonation, tone, memory, shifting, dynamics, sometimes in review, depends, boxes, structure, and romantic style. And so I guess the structure is sort of to do with the memory. If they've got one, they will kind of get the other, but I think it's just good to have it there so that they realise that it's something they're aware of.
So AB, A2, C, C2, A2, B2.
R2D2. What? A1, A1, so repeat.
Oh, yeah.
B, A2, C, C2 if you want to call the top octave C2,
Yeah.
A2, B. Yeah?
Oh, I just called it B2 because the
I haven't put
Yeah.
C2 in, I've just done C.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it matters.
I didn't
Depends on how
I
many
didn't
chaps
put
are.
A as in the, I didn't put the repeat in either for the A. I mean, I've just done A, B, A2, C, A2, B.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
And then, we have everyone coming back, but just to finish this page, you are at the bottom of this page, please going to write review B flat major scale, arpeggio and perpetual motion in B flat before doing Beckergott.
So review, sorry, is that again?
B flat major scale and arpeggio,
Yeah.
and perpetual motion in B flat major, which you've done in book 2, before Beppa Garot, which is the next piece. How exciting. Right. Could you please ask your, well, first of all, can you just tell me quickly what time your book 2 to 3 students are on a Tuesday? So what time do you teach
Ellie.
Ellie?
4:30, I think.
This does not need to be on here. Goodbye.